This is Winning Cures Everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and
It is
Chris.
time for the Song of the Week. This week, we got Jason Isbell in the 400 unit. The song is Hope the High Road from 2017's Nashville Sound record. It was done with the Nashville producer Dave Cobb. Isbell is the former singer for Southern rock band Drive-By Truckers. He's had a resurgence in the past 5 years or so. Isbell was in and out of rehab for years. And he was, out of shape, not doing well. He got sober, wrote the best record he's ever written in 2013 with Southeastern. And this was the first record that he's done with his band, the 400 unit, since he's been clean. That song is my favorite from the record. It's upbeat, catchy, and as the title dictates, kind of provides a little hope in a sometimes non-hope-providing world. It's fantastically written. You need to give it a listen on our playlist over at winningcureseverything.com. That moves us into Hot Takes of the Week. Now, we had a little trouble this week coming up with hot takes.
Just not a lot going on.
And you've kind of been on my hot takes here lately.
Well, hey, I mean, I don't mean to. I apologize.
You've been
for
on
that.
my hot takes, telling me that they're not hot takes.
Well, the last weeks, I think more people actually agree with you than not, which makes it probably not a hot take if you're doing a comparison between one and another.
I think you might be right.
Now, I think there is a level of hot take where you're not comparing anything, you just have an opinion and it's strong.
That makes sense.
And I think that's okay. But if you're going to compare two people, if all the numbers say your way is the conventional way of thinking, that can't be the hot take. Everybody that disagrees with you is just wrong.
Yeah, you might be right. And look, this week might be the same thing.
Okay. All right.
The Big 12 has a new conference slogan. Their slogan is the hardest path to the college football playoff. They debuted it today, Monday, at their media days. My hot take is this is going to backfire or prove them right, either one, and they're not going to have a team even sniff the college football playoff.
What do you think the thinking was behind this?
You got me. I don't know. Like, I understand where they're coming from because, like, they're the only conference where you got to play 10 conference games, right? Or you got to play everybody in your conference.
You play 9 conference games.
And then you got to play somebody twice.
Yeah.
So I can understand where they're coming from. Because in the Big Ten, you play 10 conference games if you play a Big Ten championship game.
But, 5 of your teams are garbage.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got to play them all, but playing them all is not too bad.
Like, it's not that big of a deal.
I mean, having Kansas on your schedule every year is not that big of a deal.
Well, it's kind of like SEC East, right? Where it's like, we get to play Vanderbilt every year.
Every
year.
year.
All right, cool. Yeah. Like, and sometimes Vandy's all right.
Missouri most years.
Yeah, Missouri. Yeah. And see, we're still trying to figure out what Missouri is this year.
We're not.
But in the Big 12,
no, we're not.
The hardest path to the college football playoff is their new slogan. They might have debuted it this year because they know they ain't got a chance at the playoff.
That's a bold statement. You don't think Oklahoma's going to be good this year?
I don't think they're going to be very good this year.
Okay.
I think Baker Mayfield was a generational talent.
I hope you're right about that being a Browns guy, but
I really do. Okay. I really think that he was that team. And look, Alabama in 1999 won an SEC championship game.
Okay.
Returned 18 starters, including starting quarterback, etc. Went 3-8 the next year. Like, when you lose a guy, like Alabama lost Sean Alexander. When you lose one guy that is like the leader of the team, I don't know that I trust Lincoln Riley enough to and I don't think that Oklahoma's going to be bad.
That's right.
I could just see them going 10-2.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose 2 games, it's over.
I think even if they lose one game, they might be out. It all depends on, what everybody else does, obviously. Like, if Washington loses to Auburn the first week, then Pac-12 might be shot. But you could still end up with 2 SEC teams and Clemson and Ohio State or whoever, right? So you never know on these things. But that's my hot take. The Big 12 won't even sniff the playoff this year.
Mine is not football related.
That's all right.
This week it is more baseball related, but not just against baseball. We're going to talk about the home run derby, but pretend that I could also be talking about the slam dunk contest or any other real skills position that you've got.
Okay.
I believe that all these players work for big corporations called Major League Baseball or the NFL or the NBA. They are their employers.
Yeah.
Or they are the employees of these companies. Not just the teams, but the whole group.
Okay.
I think they should be forced to do the skills competitions if requested by the leagues. I don't like the idea that you are perfectly healthy. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not on any type of injury report whatsoever. And you just don't want to, quote unquote, mess up your swing. Or I have nothing to prove by going to the dunk contest, so I'm not going to do it. I think you're the employee of this group. I also think there should be language in there where they can't ask you to do it every year. I understand that.
Agreed.
But you're talking about major markets with major quality assets, and none of them are involved. You have two potentials from Boston and New York.
Well, tell me, read me the list right quick of who's in the home run derby.
You've got, and I'm going to butcher some of these names because I don't know them very well. And
that's
all these
part
guys,
of the problem.
all these guys have well over 20 home runs. A lot of these guys are young talent, and if you follow baseball very closely, these guys are all-stars.
But the all-star game is not for all-star fans. This is a promotional tool.
Trying to get the casual guy in, and if you're going to do it with the home run derby, you got to do it with names people recognize. So you've got Jesus, how would you pronounce that?
Aguilar.
I should probably know this because I actually watched several Brewers games, but I just don't. Bryce Harper, big name. Max Muncy, Alex Berkman. There is no bigger fan on the planet right now of Alex Berkman than me. I've talk about him on Twitter. I talk about him on Facebook. I retweet and share every video of this guy. He's an LSU guy, plays for the Astros, super exciting.
But young guy.
Does not. It's his second year in the league.
Yeah.
He doesn't belong in here over a Mookie Betts or a JD Martinez. He just doesn't. He just doesn't. Javier Baez and Kyle Schwarber. You got two guys from the Cubs. Come on now. That's a little crazy. I do think both of them deserve to be here. And then Freddie Freeman. I think Freddie Freeman is great. Being from the South, we know him. I don't know that he's a national name. I just don't. And then Hoskins from Philly. So it's just something that I think they should make these guys do it. Back to my original point. You've got two guys from Boston that are qualified in Martinez and Mookie. Neither one of them are going. One of them needs to be there. You've got Jose Ramirez, who is an absolute monster right now, and Francisco Lindor from Cleveland. Neither one of them are representing or being there. Mike Trout, everybody on the planet says he's the best player in baseball, and he's stuck in this Siberia land of Anaheim because they're not good, their games aren't on TV, and nobody ever gets to see him. No, we're going to see Mike, and Mike doesn't have a say in it. Your team's not in the playoff race. Your team is kind of dogging it. We're going to let you put on a show tonight, and you don't have a choice. You don't get to say no. Unless you're hurt, you don't get to say no. I know that Judge and Stanton did it last year. Sorry, Stanton joined your team. We can't have the Red Sox and the Yankees being the dominant story for Major League Baseball and no one represented from their team in the home run derby contest when they've got four monster guys that can be there. This is a problem.
Four of the most well-known players in the league.
That's it. You have and Bryce Harper tried to not do it, but they're hosting it with being from the Nationals, being Washington.
He have to.
He couldn't get out of it.
That would be awful.
He's in a monster slump right now, and he doesn't want to do it, and he probably doesn't deserve it other than name recognition because of how bad he's hitting.
He's probably the most famous player in the league.
Yeah, no, he's the quote-unquote face of baseball, if I had to say so.
Yeah, and if it's in your town, you got to be in.
No, you got no choice. And here's what's sad. He's teaming up with Freddie Freeman, probably one of the third or fourth other biggest name guy in round one in the brackets, which means one of these guys is going to get sent home immediately.
Yeah.
I just think the dunk contest, LeBron's never done it. Durant said, get the big name guys out there. And here's the deal: make a deal with them. We won't ask all you guys to do it the same year. We're going to ask you to do it once. We'll never ask you again after your career, after the one time you do it. But next year, you pick 2 superstars and you say, you 2 guys are in it.
Like, this is your year.
This is your year. You know well enough in advance. Start working on stuff. We're going to give you an opportunity to display your talents, but you work for us. Unless you're on an injury report, you're in this thing.
I wouldn't say 1. I would say like at least 3. Right, because like once you've made a big enough name,
you can get on all that.
You're gonna have to.
But you understand the concept of what I'm saying. Unless you can show us where you're not hurt, then you're doing this.
Well, I mean, it's the names in the NBA back then. I mean, you remember the home run derbies that we used to watch?
I know they were all superstars. The lot of them. There was not an Alex Berkman out there. Yeah,
you were going out there to have fun. And
I think Berkman could be the best defensive third baseman I've ever watched in my life.
Do you think that some of this might have, and I know we're going long on this, but it kind of drives me insane that there is no off time before the All-Star game.
No, they definitely went from played yesterday, home run derby today, game tomorrow. But after the game tomorrow, there's like 3 days off. And there's the rest of the week off.
Which is fine. You got 3 days off after.
But you don't need an off day before you go do a home run. It's just batting practice. You're not playing a game.
Why would they not do the All-Star game on like a Saturday night?
You don't need to. You just do it in the middle. It's always been. I don't know. But I don't know that would change anything. I think
that's what I'm saying is like you're off on say your last game is on Wednesday of last week. You got All-Star weekend like you have with the NBA and NFL and whatever. And then you go back to playing again on like Wednesday or Thursday.
To be honest, I think the ratings on Saturday and Sunday for their nationally televised games are really good. And so I think they don't want to take away a Saturday.
I guess that kind of makes sense.
Because their ratings for Mondays and Tuesdays are garbage.
That kind of makes sense.
And this week they're going to be monsters. So you get to do it in the middle of the week. But I just don't understand. Like, I guess in basketball, you could say you could hurt yourself. You can hurt yourself doing anything, man. Like, if you're just going to live in a bubble and not perform, at the end of the day, this is all show business. That's all it is show business.
These guys they're playing in the All-Star game.
That's right.
So
that's right.
What's the problem with going out and hitting BP for a little while?
And here's the deal. There's no rule to say you can't go out there and tank it, but that would be a decision between you and your agent and your fan base.
And your endorsers.
Yeah, and your sponsors to see, is that something you want to do or not?
I'm with you. All right, we're going to move into the last segment of the week. It's Fact or Fiction. All right. If you'll hit that.